Hello, and welcome to On the Line episode number 5. Tonight we have the Sunflower Kayak Fishing Series directors on to talk about where the season's going in 2025. The schedule will be breaking down what's new, things that are changing, impacts on anglers, and some exciting updates for the season. So let's just dive right in. Our first guest on the line is the founder, Nikki Stevens. What's going on, Nikki?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good.
Next we have Gaz Matson.
Hey everybody.
Hey guys. And then Shannon Copeland.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going, Shannon?
Good. Guys, anybody watching tonight, if you have questions for them throughout the show, feel free to ask them, and we will make sure that they are here to answer them. So,
absolutely. Well, Nick, I'm just going to go straight to you right off the bat. For those that don't know, how did the Sunflower Kayak Series get started, and what was your inspiration for starting it?
It really got started before we even had the club. The prior club that was in our area, the founder of that had some health problems, things of that such, and it came down to we weren't even really going to have a season. So I reached out to him. I believe I even spoke to Shannon during that time. And we kind of made an effort to at least still put it on so that everybody would have a weekly tournament to attend and make sure that we were still going to compete and be able to enjoy kayak fishing in general. And it just kind of flowed. I had a few ideas that adjusted through the season, that last season of that club. And then when that season ended is when it came down to really just talking to a few people and finding the right guys that would be committed to jumping into a new club situation. And then it was a winter meeting to come up with a name and a format and just really dive into it and hit the ground running, essentially, so that we could have entry-level anglers, experienced anglers, really just take hold to something that was out the door, and we just didn't want to see that happen. We wanted to see a club that would be weekly, stick around.
Very nice. Yeah, I definitely. I know Tony and I fished a few tournaments last year, so yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we enjoyed it, so yeah, it was a great experience for us. So, can you tell us about how your your goal is to get people started out in Sunflower? Like, what's your goal to getting people started, and then maybe making that next progression up to like a KKA or a national event? Is there bringing new people?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we geared towards this season with the format that we had in place. Shannon, Gaz, and myself sat down pretty close to a month ago now, and we really ironed out a lot of the different things. And Gaz had a lot of really good input on what he was getting feedback from with entry-level anglers. So I'll defer that over to Gaz because he's really spearheading a lot of the entry-level stuff, and it's really good stuff.
Excellent. Yeah, Gaz, go ahead.
Well, I think what we wanted to do, what we do on the weekly events, is just to basically get a reason to go out and fish. Sometimes that's all you need is just hey, you want to go fish? Yeah, let's go. So and that's the same for a lot of people out there, a lot of anglers with kayaks, but they're doing it on their own. Maybe they're just getting out in a local pond and getting the kayak out, and they don't really have a network. So we got the Facebook thing going. We tried to advertise towards the beginner, just to give them an opportunity to meet some other guys, low pressure, just to get out and network with other kayak anglers. And then from there, obviously you get into a kayak, you meet a kayak angler, and no doubt they're running tournaments. They're going to tournaments. And I keep thinking back to when I first started. I just wanted to get out in a kayak. I thought it was great to get off the bank. But then I you're watching YouTube and trying to get the tips, and you see people in tournaments, and then you meet other people fishing, and then they're in tournaments. So for me personally, it was a little bit scary. So when I showed up the first time to a Flint Hills tournament, it was like I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and unfortunately, maybe it was just that night, but I didn't get much guidance or any help really. And so I left there and just felt like, well, I didn't learn anything there. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I still don't know what the heck I'm doing at that time. And so that's my thought when I go back to that. I don't want other people to come into a tournament or to come into a group and feel that. So we wanted to give them an entry level experience into a kayak tournament. Make it easy, make it simple, take the pressure off, and just learn, in hopes that we can feed the second level tournaments, like KKA and the Konza and Seka, the other groups that are around. So that's really the objective of it all, is just to get people out fishing, get them into a network, build some friendships, and then give them an opportunity to go a little further and a little further and a little further. There's a lot of good guys out there, so yeah, we want to be able to. We're all trying to do the same thing, trying to catch a fish. So
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah,
and Tim, I think that's relatively how you and I first met. Is we were just kind of on the water at Shawnee North.
Yep.
And the club had just kicked off that first inaugural season, and then once we got to talking and invited you out and everything, and then you started to show up, and then you brought your brother, and Tony's obviously done pretty darn well himself. And
I'm sorry about that, by the
way. It's all about word of mouth and where we kind of started and the direction that we've headed, and we've all three of us, we've had really good conversations about our direction and what we want to do. And last year we had a few things that were out of our circumstances with some scheduling, and we kind of had big eyes at the buffet, I guess, if you want to call it that, because we had a big open schedule at the beginning of the season, and we wanted to do a lot with it, and then scheduling wise just didn't pan out on some of the monthly things that we were anticipating. And I had my accident, which was really kind of obviously a huge letdown for myself, but it hindered a lot of things. But yeah, just going back to how Gaz was saying, just meeting people on the water, and that's how we've gotten the growth that we've really pushed for and anticipated and prayed for. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is we want to see this club and every other club that we can work hand in hand with develop that growth, so that every kayak angler has an avenue to go down.
Yeah. Plus, hey, I will mention too, we're learning every year. Like Nick said, we bit off more than we could chew last year. We thought, hey, we can do this, we can do that, we can do everything, and
absolutely, it
was ridiculous. So we just said, you know what, we're not going to do it. Let's just stay in our lane, make it easy.
I don't know about ridiculous. I think we had really good plans. It's just some unforeseen scheduling came up, and I think it's something for the future. And we got a little humble pie out of it.
Well, yeah, a lot of things happen that you can't, foresee. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. Like, you guys were probably discussing it every other night or every weekend. Like, hey, what about this, and this? And we're just out here fishing going, hey, where's the next tournament at, guys? Like, we just want to know. Oh, that wasn't a very good decision because of this. And then you guys are behind the scenes doing this. And that's when we're like, hey, just calm down, relax. Just let us figure this out. And that's something that even us anglers need to work on. That, we just want everything here and now, and it just needs to be nice, level atmosphere.
Well, no, we definitely appreciate all the feedback from anybody that reaches out to us and messages and everything else. We just, if it's a detrimental change in the middle of the season, we can't always just go with that. we'll take it into consideration. It'll be a topic of conversation when we have our meetings in the winter, or when we have long conversations in our messages. But yeah, during the season, I mean, I think I'm not going to try and use the word sick, because that's not something that I feel that we're sick of each other, but we conversate so much in our messages that it's like, damn, we're going to talk to each other again every 5 minutes, every other day. It's like, damn, sick of this, but it's not on that level. I think it's just our passion for the club itself and us three communicating the best that we can. And, yeah, if anybody had any questions for me, they can send me questions. I know people send Shannon questions, Gaz questions. Distribution, I guess, between all three of us is open, and we accept it. We like it.
I think the one thing I noticed for you guys, it's a compliment to Sunflower and the directors, is that when we were looking at the membership for KKA this year, I think there was 7 new people in KKA this year, new members that came from Sunflower. So I think the setting up Sunflower to kind of move to that level 2, or however you like to look at it, for the KKA, you guys really achieved that goal. I mean, that's seven additional anglers in a club that's only got 30 to 40 members is a huge increase.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to you guys for getting people involved in the sport and moving up. So
yeah, and we understand. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to shout out Steve Lutz too, because honestly, he was a big part of I don't know if any of us hadn't been a part of Flint Hills before this, and it really got us into it, all of us. So I just
100% that I would attribute that foundation to being what we kind of have going on right now, because that was the club that was the last season, and trickled over into what the Sunflower is today. And had Shannon not been willing to jump on the grenade, essentially, or me jumping on the grenade for that last season and trying to run with it and continue that last season, we wouldn't have maybe the guys that we communicate with now that we drew over to that first season of Sunflower in order for us to grow like we have, and to get the development that they've wanted to grow into the KKA. And that's where you're seeing some of those 7 new members.
What was the highest turnout last year? Do you guys remember? Was it 22 anglers at one event, or was it 18? Or
I think it was 18 at Lone
18?
Star.
18.
Yeah. So I mean, it's growing quite a bit.
I think we had 19 the year before, didn't we?
19
at Lone Star also.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
The parking lot gets a little small with you get over 12 people, a dozen, but
yeah, you got to get creative.
Everybody gets a trailer now, it seems like. So
and a motor.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, should we head on into talk about history, Tony? Do you want me to go ahead and start on that?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm actually kind of curious. I see I can't say who's watching, but I'd love for you guys to have a post a comment and say where you're watching from tonight. Just if it's all Kansas people, or we got people elsewhere. So I'd love you to drop in the chat if you have time. So anyway, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So Nick, we'll just start with you, bud. So how did you get into fishing, like in general? Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug. What's up, man? Hope to see you out in one of the first tournaments, man. But yeah, as Tim was saying, I think we all get started from our parents at one point or another. I mean, my dad, ever since I could ever remember, one of my earliest pictures that I still have saved to this day is me sitting on the bank holding a rod, and I've got this life vest on in case, any sort of size of a catfish pulls me in. And so he really gets the credit. He fished with me all the time, kind of took me whenever I could. And then even at that point, I wasn't the greatest student in school, because I would literally be reading any fishing book I can get my hands on, any Bassmaster magazine. I would literally doodle different lure designs. anything I could get my hands on fishing wise. School took a backseat 100% of the time. And it even took a few blessed angels of teachers that would gear certain topics or subjects or assignments around fishing so that I could show that I've learned something. And had the point of fact of passing classes just off of those topics being specifically for fishing for myself. Other than that, I really just ran with bass fishing at a very early age. My dad got us into catfish tournaments one year when I was 11. We were fishing out of a 14-foot John boat. We would do catfish tournaments from 8 o'clock at night until 8 a.m. And that would be what officially hooked me into tournament fishing in general. I got super into making sure all the fish were released alive. I got involved in that community. It was the weigh-ins, it was the launchings, it was everything about a tournament was 100% what I seen for my future. And I even got a sportsmanship award at the end of the year. My dad and I never weighed in the biggest bag. We never, I don't even think cashed a check. But it was the community. It was the environment that whole situation involved. And the very next year, my dad surprised me with a 1974 Ranger bass boat. It wasn't anything fun in terms of like the latest and greatest type of a boat. But it was an upgrade from a John boat, that's for sure. And that very next year after we had that boat, I actually won my first tournament when I was 12. So not only was I bit in the butt by the tournament bug, I transitioned over into bass tournaments hardcore. And from that point, it was never looking back. I won't go into too much of my history, but there was a pause for about 11 years where I didn't do tournaments. I didn't really have the ability with all my equipment to continue fishing the way I had saved up my money for and everything else. But when I did get back into everything, it was kayak tournaments that got me back on board. And now I'm back into, rigging my kayak and making sure all my equipment's good. And I literally have a mobile tackle shop now. And then at that point, I'm back into boat tournaments and doing all that and trying to figure out a good schedule between, different series of boat fishing and kayak fishing and making sure that I can, deal with my work schedule and everything else. So it's a different type of a balance now. But in the scheme of things, I wouldn't be fishing any of these things if my dad didn't help me get into it. Didn't take me fishing when I was early on and didn't put me in too many grounding situations for not having schoolwork done when I was fishing all the time.
Yeah. So it's not only an addiction, it's embedded in your soul. Thing is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. I wake up at 3 a.m. and like looking at my phone for new lures that came out. So yeah, I would agree with that. And there's always somebody there that kind of pushes you in that direction, it seems like, for fishing. And there's always that mentor, whether it's your father, your brother, an uncle, whoever, and a friend, a neighbor, and that starts you out early and it sticks with you. So that's pretty amazing story. So. Oh
yeah, I've got more to it, but I'm not going to take up these gentlemen's times because they have their own stories and they're their own amazing individuals. And I wouldn't have built this club with them if they weren't amazing guys to help make this what it is too.
Yeah, you got some good guys there. So, Gaz, you want to go ahead and, how'd you get into fishing?
Yeah, well, I'm the rookie. I can't say that I've always had a fishing rod in my hand. That wasn't the case. I grew up in England, so I didn't have a choice. I was a soccer player. And so that was what took up my time as a kid. Yeah. I had my mentors there. My dad used to play, but and I'd play, and my brothers play. It was like expected. So that's what we did. I didn't really start fishing until I came over here. Actually, we moved when I was 16. We moved from England to Canada, to Toronto. I got my two younger brothers and my mom and my dad, and we moved over to Canada. They're still up there. When I was 18, I got an opportunity, got a soccer scholarship to Avila College, or Avila University now. So that's how I got to Kansas City. My current wife, she was the one that really pushed me into fishing, or drugged me into fishing. She used to go. She loves catfishing. She is, they call her the fish whisperer. She outfishes me most of the time. And she's all she does, a hook and a worm. That's all she uses. But so I would tag along with her, and I kind of got the bug, and we'd go fishing together because it was something we both liked. And then one year, I was really enjoying it, looking forward to it. We were going regularly. It's about maybe 7 years ago now. And I started watching YouTube because I didn't have anybody else to teach me more. I wanted to learn more. So I was watching YouTube. And I saw this guy in a kayak. And I thought, well, that'll be good. That'll get me off the bank. So that was when I started thinking about kayak fishing. So saved up some money, got a kayak, got a Vibe. And so that was my first kayak, and got off the bank and just really loved being the freedom of it all. Loved just being able to get off the bank and go to the places that you could only see from the bank. So that was when I really started enjoying it and doing more and getting more. And of course, you get one kayak and you enjoy it, and then you get kayak envy because you see somebody paddling around. So I ended up upgrading to something with paddles or pedals, and so now I'm then you watch even more videos, right? And you get all of the gadgets that you try and put on. You make your own nightlight to stick on there, and then you've got stickers, so you got to put stickers on your boat. All of that stuff that you experts, you lifelong anglers are using, and to join the club, get your stickers and your fishing lures, and you start talking about all of the different lures, and now I can speak the language. I can throw out different lures that people have, your my average brother doesn't know about.
Yep.
Fix the accent if you got the language.
So I mean that's how I got going. And then of course you start, like I said, you go to tournaments, or you go to clubs, and you go fishing with people, and you get friends, and you see them every week. That's the biggest thing for me. That's the thing that I enjoy out of the Sunflower weekly series. It's not winning, because God knows I don't win. I think I've won once in 3 years. But I think it's the thing that I enjoy is just getting there and seeing everybody's face again. Just saying hi and how you doing, and just developing those friendships. Yeah. And making sure everybody has a good time. Keeping things organized. That's been my contribution, I think, to the club, is just all of the administration stuff, keeping track of the numbers, making sure the posts get out there. I just want everybody to enjoy it. So that's now I'm still learning, still watching YouTube. I don't necessarily have a mentor. I think my mentor is the Greg Blanchard, and I don't know.
That hurts. Come on, we've gone out in private, and I've helped you out, and we've caught some good fish.
Yeah. Uncle Nick always helps me out.
No,
but like you guys have mentioned on previous podcasts, just people at the tournaments, you learn so much from. I mean, just in conversation, especially after the tournament.
Yep.
Those are the kind of things that I learned from, and learn from them, and just watch out. Do that for next week.
Yeah.
or then make a note on, the next time I'm at this lake, I'm going to go where Tony went to,
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
I'm going to throw that, I'm going to sneak in.
I've got some waypoints for sale, just an FYI.
Yeah.
Or you can just watch my
And
videos.
that's why I want to bring others in too, and we'll probably talk about the changes for this year, why it's different, and some of the things that are happening. But that's why I love fishing. That's why I love the Sunflower Weeklies. That's why I love this community.
Yeah.
Just all the things, all of the good guys and the good people.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be here, Tim and I wouldn't be here talking to you three on a podcast had I not went out and done a tournament.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just
Right.
blows my mind that my first tournament was like 2 years ago, and now I'm doing this. So, so I love the people part. So
and come and bought your tackle from me, buddy.
I was debating between this and my Bass Pro hat, but I decided to go with this one.
Yeah. The old Amsoil.
Well, technically, isn't KKA sponsored by Shields, so you should not wear Bass Pro.
I lost my Shields hat, so maybe you can get me another one.
I might know a guy.
Yeah.
Well, you know how much money I spend at Shields, Nikki. So
We're not going to mention no spending there, buddy.
Yeah. Casual Bass guys on. I see Cal's on, John's on. So we appreciate you guys watching and giving your comments up. So yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Shannon, let's move to you. How'd you get started in fishing?
Similar to Nick, I started really young. Unfortunately, my first fishing memory is my parents used to take me to the Shawnee Lake Junior Pond when I was little, and they actually used to stock that pretty thick. I mean, you could have a good time there at the right time of the year for sure. But one day, I was, I think, 2 or 3, somewhere in there, walking the banks, and I found a little piece of string with a grasshopper on the end, and I yanked on it, trying to get the grasshopper off, and pulled a hook right through my finger.
Oh shoot!
And that's like one of my earliest memories. My dad stuck my hand in a glass of ice that he had in the truck, and we drove to the hospital to get it removed. And so I just kind of always enjoyed. I just enjoy being outdoors. Period. Definitely, those were a lot of my earliest times outdoors for fishing. My dad or grandparents, cousins, I used to go down to Oklahoma a couple weeks a year, every year, to my cousin's farm, and we did a lot of pond fishing there. And I got a little older in my high school years. My best friend and I, we had good friends at church that had a really nice farm pond, and we used to go out there with the youth pastor quite a bit and fish it. And I remember Jim Bogear. Hey Jim, if you're watching, he taught me how to Texas rig a rubber worm for the first time and how to fish it. I mean, it was just like, I'd just never done anything close to that. So kind of learned that pretty early on and thought that was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, and then the same friend used to go to Colorado. We did some backpacking trips, Colorado and Wyoming, and we'd do hiking trips, but instead of like having a destination to hike to, we'd find a spot that had a bunch of lakes and on the way, and we'd fish a new lake basically every day. We'd do like 10 days or whatever. And nice. That was a lot of fun. When I was in high school, I bought a 14-foot John boat. And then a year later, I bought a 17-foot canoe and fished a lot out of both of those. Paddled a 100-pound canoe around a lot. Got really good at paddling. And then I wanted a kayak forever and ever, really ever since I owned a canoe. But, family and just life happens, and just was never able to afford one really. And then in 2018, I bought a Ocean Kayak Prowler 13, and I fished out of it like every chance I could get. Basically, when my wife would take the kids to the pool, and she would relieve me to be able to go to the lake at the same time, and I would go fish at Shawnee a lot because I live close to that. And then I fished in it for a year. Actually, right at the end of that year, either 2018, 2019, right in there, Flint Hills was doing a raffle for a really nice paddle, and I put in for the raffle and won that.
Oh, nice.
And then so when I went to go get it from Steve, he was like, "Hey, why don't you come out and fish one of our tournaments?" I was like, "What are you talking about? That's kind of how I got introduced to that." So then I upgraded a little bit to a ride, wilderness ride the next year, and went a few more years, and then bought what I'm in now, my new canoe, Unlimited.
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of where I came from.
Along with how Shannon had his progression, I want to give a shout out to Marty Hughes up in Auburn, Nebraska. He's fished some KK events in the past as well. Anybody that looks at his articles, he's kind of gone over some of the history he's had from starting out when, years and years and years ago, when there was literally only paddle kayaks. And he's kind of gone over the progression of everything that is now. So take a look at Marty Hughes' articles and how he's got some of his in some different magazines and publications, because the man knows what he's talking about, and he's definitely a good asset to learn some of that history.
Yeah, he's got a new podcast as well. Now I can't think of it. It's him and Trey Dawson. Do you know what the name of that is off the top of your head, Tim? I can't remember.
I do not, but it's under his own podcast.
Something Behind the Story or Behind the Kayak or something like that.
The article, he's talking about is on Bassmaster online.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the guys that wins. He goes over their gear and what they were using. They're really good articles. You can learn a lot.
And he's got his own website too, and read some of his articles on his website as well. So,
well, we kind of went over, how you got into kayak fishing and how long you've been kayak fishing for. So, Tony, why don't you just go ahead and take it over with about the tournaments and go from there?
Yeah. Do you guys? So it's just kind of a number. Kind of all said how you got into tournament fishing. How long have each of you been doing tournament fishing? Nikki, how long have you been tournament fishing? I know you've been doing it since you were a kid, right?
Yeah, since I was 11 years old.
So 20 years?
Wow. Yeah, won my first tournament when I was 12, actually bass fishing. And bless my dad for that, because he he wasn't willing to learn bass fishing like I was. So he essentially was, because everything I did was before the collegiate series or any sort of high school clubs. So essentially he was my boat captain, and I was fishing the tournaments for both of us, because he wasn't technique driven. He didn't have, I guess, the pizzazz to make accurate casts. Like, he was literally just casting out of the back of the boat, and more or less looking back on everything and having conversations with him, enjoying watching me do what I knew how to do and the passion I had for it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Gat, how many years have you been kayak fishing? A couple? 5?
3 years.
3 years?
All Sunflower, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Shannon, what about you?
Since 2018. So what's that? 7 years.
7th year?
Yeah.
Lucky number 7. So what would you tell someone who's just got, Nikki, back around to you, what would you tell someone who's just starting out in tournaments, like, some advice you maybe didn't do, like you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that when I first started, or just some advice for someone just starting out?
Solidify your tackle. Don't kind of go into it willy-nilly. Get some practice with your tackle. Go go out with your kayak, learn to use a measure board, take a couple practice pictures. I didn't even have my first measure board. We actually just had a gentleman make a couple comments, I believe yesterday, about what kind of board we use and everything else, and how we'd let them borrow some from anybody that had extras. That's essentially how I got started. I didn't even have my first measure board. And I borrowed it. I believe it was from Garrett Reese. He let me borrow one, and that really got me into the whole swing of things. So that first tournament, I actually had a very, very big fish on at Lake Shawnee with Flint Hills, and I think I was fishing a swim jig somewhere around like 18, 15 foot deep, something like that, and just had a big old girl nail it. Got it all the way up about 3-4 feet from the side of the kayak, and maybe I just wasn't used to being that low to the water, how I was fighting it, whatever the case. She came up, I seen this huge head, and she gave a wobble. Jig got spit. It was actually Steve over across the way, close to the golf course, and he heard me scream something fierce that I missed this huge fish, because I'd almost guarantee it was pretty darn close to a PB. I don't know how big the fish are in Lake Shawnee. I know that they can get very, very big, but this thing was astonishing for the size of its head when I did see her. And had I been better practiced on the water with my equipment and was able to fight a fish of that size, being low to the water, different scenarios like that, things like that would definitely pay dividends to any angler learning. So go out, practice with things, treat a 3-hour block on the water like you're in a tournament, so that you can definitely feel more comfortable in those situations. When you're going out to practice, definitely use that time to treat it like a tournament. Still learn about techniques, still go out and practice your casts, what baits, fishing well in certain areas, but catch a fish, put it on the board, measure it. Definitely get that under your belt, because that's a huge thing. If you don't calm a fish down, or if you don't do something like that, and they start flopping around, you could definitely miss a huge fish in a picture that could get you money.
I think we've all had a board flop. Flop off the board. That's like rookie. I know I've had a couple rookie mistake, or if I do it and I'm like, oh, rookie mistake, because I always use a net around mine. So, Gaz, what about you? What got you into, or what's something you tell someone that's just getting into kayak fishing?
Don't be intimidated. Just go out there and you learn from somebody who knows what they're doing. Find somebody to tell you. Ask questions. Keep asking. If you're just starting out, you can see it, you can watch videos on it, but until you do it, it doesn't really click. So
yeah.
But it's also exciting. It's also exciting when you're measuring your first fish.
Yeah.
When your first tournament, you catch your first fish and you're thrilled because it's bigger than the minimum limit, and then you put it on the board and you're hoping that it doesn't flop off. You just have some fun. Don't be intimidated and ask a lot of questions. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
My first fish was Big Hill, 2022 or 2023. 2023. 14-inch, only fish I caught, like my first 3 tournaments. It's very exciting. So, Shannon, what about you? Any suggestions or tips or advice you have for new anglers?
Yeah, I would kind of tag on to what Gaz said too. Just take it slow at first for sure. Practice is huge. Just getting out there, fish, getting used to your kayak, getting used to your equipment. Like everybody said, practice practice getting a fish on a board, keeping them there while you're taking a picture is a big part of it. Something that's really helped me is just propping my net, just simple as taking a net and propping it up on the left side, in front of the fish has saved me a lot of lost fish. And I had something else. Oh, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. Man, I've learned so much from just after the tournament or, just sticking around afterwards and talking. A lot of guys like to pill out, as soon as things are done, or if they're having a bad day, they're frustrated, they're tired and thirsty and they just want to go. Man, if you stick around, you're going to get to know some people, number one, and you're just going to learn a lot real quick just by talking to people and listening.
Yeah. I got another one too. If you want to learn about how to do tournament fishing and you got big eyes on doing all of the local ones in the northeast and southeast Kansas area, come out every week to Sunflower Kayak Fishing Series. Meet a lot of guys and learn how to do it right and just have some fun fishing. And now back to the show.
I was laughing at that comment. Sorry, guys.
I was going to ask you that, Tony. Like, that's one question I was going to ask the guys. Like, what's one of the most memorable points of the year? Like, what's one of the things that either the biggest catch that you've made? What's what's a moment that stands out for you? Like the biggest bass, the 22-inch, maybe a Shannon caught or whatever. Is there a moment that stood out for you this season, Gaz?
Yes. So, like I said, I don't win a lot, and I was at Shawnee Lake, and we're having one of our weekly tournaments, and it had been we only fished for about 3 hours, about halfway through, and I was fishing the same spot, and I finally caught a fish. It was about 4 inches. It was a bluegill, and it was up against the weeds, and I thought, oh, fantastic, great, caught a fish, woohoo! And I threw it back here, and I cast it again, just maybe about 6 feet to the right of where I caught that other thing. And then,
wait, you threw in the 4-inch bluegill where no live fish?
No, sorry.
No live bait.
Yeah, be specific here.
Yeah.
Is that how you caught the big fish? Let's rescind that big fish money, buddy.
I measured the 4-inch bluegill, and I took a picture of it, and I threw it back. And then I re-rigged, got my Ned rig all set up, and tossed it in a little further down, and a 19.5 bass, 19.5-inch largemouth, being specific now, largemouth bass. Took the bait and I reeled it in, and that was the biggest thrill. I thought, yes, I've got biggest bass. I might win something here. And so we all roll up at the end of the night, and I'm showing off my picture of my 19.5-inch largemouth bass. And then Tim strolls up with a 21-inch bass.
Yeah.
I thought, you son of a bluegill.
I actually felt really bad about that. I was like, I didn't even. I was just gonna give you the money. I was like, Gaz won. I felt bad about that. I ain't gonna lie.
It's okay, Tim. We all know how you feel after Tony smokes you every night. So it's the same. It's about the same feeling, isn't it?
Well, I probably have to go to a confession at church after I sung his name. So,
what was your most memorable one, Shannon?
Maybe that. Yeah, probably that big 22 that I covered up the identifier for the monthly and didn't get credit for.
That thing probably looked like an 8-pounder, didn't it, when it came out?
Speaking of newbie mistakes, right? Yeah, it was a good one.
I did that with my 20-inch PB smallmouth at Clinton Lake that I caught in the Sunflower tournament. That was like 2 weeks before you did it, because I remember going, "Oh man, I know how you feel."
You came up to me, you're like, "Man, I hate to say this, but I hope you got another picture with your identifier in there." Because so note to those. Here's another tip that you catch a big one, sometimes that belly sags over the top of your. Well, I guess it'd be the top of it. It was so deep that it covered up part of my identifier. So look at it before you take a picture.
Casual bass guy wants. We kind of ask this question later, but I think it's a good time to ask it now. So,
Yeah.
What's your most anticipated tournament on the schedule this season coming up?
I'd have to think about that one because we are throwing a couple different new situations out there, and that's kind of goes along the lines with what our goals are for the club and growing it is to constantly try and fish new waters all the time. So throwing in a couple of curveballs during the season is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys, Shannon or guys, do you have a lake or something that you're looking forward to?
Either Sunflower or KKA or whatever. Yeah.
Just the first one, right?
Yeah.
Let's get out of this cold weather. Get you know,
I'll
put a hook
second
in the
that.
water.
Yeah.
I think the first one. I'm looking forward to all of ours. Trying to seeing some new faces. But I always like going to Wilson Lake, so I'll probably go to Wilson Lake and fish the KKA tournament out there. But I know that's a while away. But still, I mean, I always like that. I always like going there. It's very, very nice.
It'll be
beautiful lake.
It'll be the championships. It'll be 2-day tournament.
Oh.
So you got to do at least one. You got to do at least one tournament throughout the year in KK, I believe, to get into the championship.
I can manage that.
Yeah. I know you're already a member, so yeah. And do you have any goals this year for 2025 for you three to I want to fish a new lake. I want to fish another tournament series like Moyak or Bassmasters or.
I'm going to try to hit some All-Americans. I'm going to do my best. I've got a lot going on just this year, just personally, but I'm really going to try to get some All-Americans. Mm-hmm. May try to make it down to the Oklahoma Bassmasters.
That'll be the one.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
It's a good lake. If you like Wilson.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Just don't fish any championship. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Every single person staying on every spot that you know, it's not good.
Right.
Yeah. 10 Killer is a gorgeous lake. So definitely recommend it.
Are you going to fish the Wilson tournament, All-American, Shannon?
Yeah, I'm going to try to.
I'm going to as well. Yeah.
I may. I haven't decided yet.
Oof, Wilson Memorial Day weekend is going to be rough, but I think we can get her done.
Yeah.
Guys, you got any goals for this year?
I get some new people into kayak fishing. That's like I said, I like to focus on that on the weekly stuff, and so that'll be my goal is just to meet some new people and see if we can add to the community.
I really thought you were going to say just 5 fish.
Saving that commercial for the end.
Like and subscribe, right?
Yep.
Nikki, any other big goals for yourself this year?
I mean, I do. I don't want to reveal too much until I put them into fruition, kind of thing. I've kind of been unlucky in the past if I've talked about things. It's just one of those deals where you talk about it and something doesn't happen, and then it's just a huge letdown mentally. I know I talked to Gaz and Shannon about a tournament that I wanted to do a couple weeks back, and the drive time, the distance, and then scheduling around home and work, it just wasn't feasible. I could have really done it if I wanted to drag myself out and have 2 hours of sleep for a matter of like 4 days. So I just chose not to, even though my heart was in it, my idea was in it. And I just didn't get to accomplish it. So that's kind of going to weigh on me the rest of the season, and it's going to put a lot more drive towards the other tournaments that I do want to travel to, and just fuel me for all of our weekly stuff and just exude that passion elsewhere.
Yeah, I made the long trip to Havasu just to get skunked, and it was.
You didn't get skunked.
I didn't get skunked in practice, but I got skunked in the tournament. But
yeah,
it was very humbling So,
Well,
yeah.
in your defense on that one, it was tough on everybody. Like
Yeah, it
that
really
was
was.
one. That was one that what was it? Only like
5
15, 20% of the field caught fish or something like that. It was
It was
very hard.
about 40% of people caught at least one fish, but only like 10 people
Yeah.
caught like
limits.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but all
Yeah.
right. Thank you. We got one more. I'm assuming you're talking about the All-American Classic. Is that what you're talking about there, Casual Bass Guy, in Missouri at Truman Lake? You have to drop another question there, but while you're doing that, I will kind of what everybody's here for.
Yeah.
Kind of want to move us on because I know we're talk so much. We could talk all night about fishing, but it's actually about the membership. There's a lot of changes coming this year with the membership, the schedule for Sunflower, and so just kind of start out with some questions that we can, whoever wants to answer them. But really, at first, I know there was a membership. You guys did a membership fee last year. It's like $25 for Sunflower. Is there going to be any membership fees this year?
There is not. No membership fee this year.
Okay.
No.
And this kind of what are some of the other changes then for this year for 2025? There's a lot. I know. Looked at the big post you made and all things like that.
So we really shook it up a little bit, and we've made slight adjustments each season, and we really definitely are going to look at everything in the coming seasons, and we're going to find a happy medium and kind of just have it all figured out a little bit better each year. That's us growing as a team for the club to better have it as a format, to better have it as a foundation. And Gaz and Shannon are always tremendous when we're talking about things. We're just really three good old boys just sitting around the table, literally at a bowling alley, and figuring things out.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, we figured out what we wanted to do for this season, just to keep it simple, fun, cost effective. We are throwing Tourney X into the mix so that if it was to be a situation where one of us had an emergency, one of us is too far away, any of that situation, all three of us will have access to Tourney X to be able to pay out the payouts, and essentially the tournaments can still run as scheduled. People will pay their entry fee to Tourney X, and it'll be paid out through Tourney X or PayPal, however that initially works. But at that point, everybody can still take part, and we will, as founders, still be a part of the situation at the end of things.
Yeah. Let me just maybe just talk about the format of each weekly event, what you can expect.
Yeah.
Obviously, every Tuesday night, it seems to be a sweet spot for, or it has been for every time for the past 3 years when we've done this thing. So Tuesday night, we'll start at 5:30, and we'll go to 8:30 or as daylight permits. So I know a couple of times, especially in the middle of summer, when you could fish till 9, we said, all right, everybody, instead of 8:30, we're going to 9, and we'll do it that way. We're going to be fishing a different lake every week. We can talk about the schedule and that later on. The entry fee still going to be $20, so $20 a night. And what that breaks down is it covers a big fish challenge. It covers the Tony X fee, and we have a standard payout schedule. All right, so same kind of thing depending on the number of anglers that participate. Then that determines whether there's a first place, a second place, and a third place. We are not having any point system, so there's no Angler of the Year competition. All right, this is just you show up each week and you fish.
Gaz, don't forget to mention that we have a weekly plaque for first place, and
nice.
then I had one more thing.
Right, the weekly plaque, first place prize gets a plaque, and
yeah,
then
and our entry level division as well.
Yes, I was going to get to that one.
Okay.
we are having the end of the season Tournament of Champions. So if you do win a weekly event, then you are qualified for the end of season Tournament of Champions. We have our traveling trophy there. Last year's winner was Derek Roberts. So we've got his name on there, and we're going to on that trophy, and we're going to add somebody else's name at the end of the season.
So what happens if he what happens if he doesn't give it back?
I've got it. He's got his name. Yeah. We'll hunt
Nice
him down. So yeah, there's that. And like Nick said, Tony X, all the payouts are going to be made through PayPal. So we're trying to automate that, give that a shot, and try it out. You know what? If at the end of the season for this year we feel like it wasn't a good fit, then we'll change it. You know, I mean, heck, we're the directors. We get to pick that. You know, we're doing it for the best for the best turnout, the best results of the club. So we're making those calls. Yeah, the trophies, I want to shout out Dave Marshall. Dave Marshall does all our trophies. Does a great job.
Yes, he does.
He's done all those in the past, so we appreciate him. This year also, we are introducing an all-species tournament.
Oh, nice.
All right, so all you guys that complain about catching these big old drums, all right, that's something you're going to get credit for here. So we're also going to put another twist on it. It's a team tournament. So
that's awesome.
Before that event begins, we've got 4 of them scheduled at different lakes. We'll pick teams by drawing, you know, so it'll be a random drawing right before the tournament begins.
No blood teammates there, buddy.
You mean the Drum Brothers? The Drum Brothers can't go together?
No Boydens. They will be split up immediately.
Unless the god of the spinner determines that that's the way it's going to be. So the tournament for the all species tournament. So it's on a point system. So every fish counts as a point. All right. If it's a bass, if it's under 8 inches, it counts as 1 point. And then 8 to 12 is 2 points. And then 12 to 16 is 3 points. And over 16 is 4 points. And then every other species of fish that you might catch is worth 1 point, regardless of its size. All right. But to stop those bluegill champions just going and catching 1,000 bluegills, a maximum of 5 of every species.
Okay.
All right. So, and then at the end of the night, we'll tally up the points, and the team with the most combined points will be the winners. So that is that's how we're going to do that all species tournament.
That sounds actually really awesome.
And the winners of that the team tournaments for the species, they will both be receiving a prize or trophy. We're still coming up with that idea so that it does separate from the regular weekly tournaments as singles. So it'll be a team accomplishment and have those be trophies that are obviously well displayed between both people.
Maybe like an old shoe or something.
But just switching it up and getting in there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So as far as the teams go, if I do end up coming and Tim's there as well, and we get drawn by the same, can we reject that or pass?
Yeah.
They pass.
You swap maybe.
Yeah.
Wife swap.
We'll see. So we talked about the entry level approach and the low pressure approach for Sunflower. Not everybody is going to feel okay with coming into a tournament straight away. So we also have another series, or not another series even, another option right here. If you just want to come out and fish with us, you just want to meet us, you just want to hang out with a bunch of anglers and learn all their secrets and things, that's okay too. You can come out and just fish. You don't have to compete. Fish alongside without that pressure. There's no entry fee for that, obviously, because there's no competition and you're not going to win anything. It's just fishing and the social aspect of it all, and just coming along and fishing along with everybody. That way you can ask your questions, you can get to know people, and then maybe you'll be more comfortable in competing. So we're looking at every angle for people to just come out and fish. Heck, you can fish from the bank if you want to. It's not about kayak fishing at that point. It's about the social aspect and just getting to know the community and jumping in.
Very nice.
That's another thing that we're going to do. We're not going to exclude anybody from this.
And that's something that if there is anybody that has been reached out to, whether it's KKA, Sunflower, anybody listening to this podcast that is brand new and wanting to learn, and they do not have a kayak, we pretty much, all of us have extra kayaks. If you want to take a spin at things, just let us know. We'll bring one out and we'll get you on the water. And if you don't want to compete that night and just feel it out, learn it, you can come tag right alongside me, Gaz, Shannon, anybody. I guarantee
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter who they are. We all have a great group of guys, whether it's KKA or Sunflower or any other club. They'll be willing to tag somebody along during a tournament just to help them out and see how they mesh with that type of a scenario. And it's all about questions. It's all about feeling if it's right for you. And we're all accommodating to see if that's going to be something that we can help you with.
Yeah, and don't feel like you'll be the only one not fishing the competition, because I wouldn't be competing. All right, if we get out there, and I don't plan on being part of the competition. I'm going to be there for the just because guys. All right, so you know, don't feel like you're going to be the only one out there that's not part of the competition. So.
Yep.
And literally, like I said, I've got a mobile tackle shop. So if there's people listening that are new and they need some baits or something, or they need to borrow a rod and reel, trust me, I've got it and I got you covered.
And Nick, I would say probably for the first 5 tournaments to let Doug have a 10-minute behind everybody else, since he made that comment about your drone. So
no, because I mean, in terms of going back to that whole question about most memorable part, like I had a slight heart attack, and I mean, for me to drop down to my skivvies right away and jump into that lake, I mean, that is probably, if there was another drone flying around to catch that moment, boy, I tell you what, that would be the greatest.
Hey, tell us about that, Nick. A lot of people don't know what happened.
I could bring that up.
Oh, well,
on my GoPro.
If you got it, buddy, that's all right with me. Put it on YouTube. So,
I think your GoPro got knocked off by the drone that night, didn't it?
No, I hit my net.
I mean, it's
another one.
And that whole situation was still that was great by everybody. Not that I lost the drone, but that was a good collaboration that everybody was willing to be in that group of guys on the water in their kayaks, so that I could try and fly around and get everybody in that shot and try and take that video and a couple still photos out of that. The drone is still in the process of being retrieved so that I can get that memory card back, because that was a really good moment. Just being on the dock and flying around and up on the bank during my time of my accident, and really taking time off the water for myself and my health. Flying around that drone and being able to see everybody fishing, that was really special to me, because it got me in the action when I wasn't able to be on the water. So I may have lost the drone, but those are memories that I had, and jumping in the water was very funny.
Got some really cool shots when it was alive.
Yeah.
I was actually quite disappointed I didn't get some YouTube shots from my YouTube channel. So
I owe you that, Tony. I do.
Actually, Doug, you're welcome to fish by me anytime you want, because every time he would come around a corner, I would catch a fish. I even got it on camera. So like it was like magic. Every time I was like, oh, there's Doug, and then I catch a fish. So
Yeah, and don't let Doug fool you. He's a
He's really
sleeper.
good.
He's
Yeah,
coming.
Yes,
I'll tell you that right now.
he caught some pretty big fish last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
He came on strong at the end.
And I tell you, when it's your night, it's your night. I mean,
I know he did pretty good at the Kanza one,
Yeah.
right? That was Doug. Didn't you
Yeah.
do second at Shawnee Lake? I follow that stuff. So I was really rooting for you that day. So anyway, so yeah, so I think kind of hit on any other things we missed. If anybody too, if you're not familiar with Tourney X, I know I was kind of like, okay, really nervous about submitting my first fish and how it all worked and make sure my settings were set up. Come out a little early. Somebody help you get it set up. Make sure it's set up right. Making sure your location stuff's on. Things
And
like that.
I want to be clear about a couple things, because when it came to Flint Hills, and Steve was running Fishing Chaos through that for a little bit. There was times where, obviously, like Lone Star, there'd be different lakes where we would have service trouble. So
Shawnee
submitting
North.
yeah. So submitting fish wasn't the easiest thing for some people, and I know myself included. I'm gonna have trouble on some of the lakes with service for my phone for T-Mobile as well. So when it comes down to it, if you can't submit or if you don't have service, we will still measure you in at the end of the night at the ramp. So it'll still be a part of something. We'll all three look at the fish and judge them just the same as we did last season and prior seasons. It'll be known that, hey, this person didn't have service. Please be respectful. It may not be posted on the page or on that, that tournament for Tourney X. That person may have zeros next to their name, even though they paid their entries in. But at that point, we will make sure that everybody knows that, hey, this person didn't have service. We're all verifying they've caught their fish. If they win, respect that we've all looked at it, judged it, and we've made that decision that they did win.
and make sure you turn
Yeah.
on your location for your pictures as well.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. We'll make sure that the new people do know that, and we can walk them through how the app works best.
And they have that catch and release alive for 2025, and that's a free one that you can get on from.
$5.
Oh, is it $5? $5 on Tourney X. Any fish you catch, you can submit it on there. Bank fish, kayak fish, boat fish. Is it private lakes too? It's private and public, isn't it? Or just all public?
It's I'm gonna say all public, but yeah, that's another Marty Hughes thing. He does for the whole year.
There's your
It's a
practice.
way for you to figure out how many fish you catch all year for bass anyway.
Yeah.
So
Just don't compare yourself to Marty's,
No.
yeah,
because he'll have like 13,000 fish.
Yeah, Clayton's already got like 2,200 inches or something like that.
Does he really?
What?
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, how do you do that in Kansas? But it's Clayton. You can submit fish while you're out, fun fishing practice room. Yeah, there is a practice one that doesn't cost anything.
I was gonna.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Casual Bass Guy.
Yeah, and if you haven't been there, Casual Bass Guy's channel is pretty dang good. He's a hammer. So
yeah, I don't know if I was trying to debate whether I followed it or not. So
standing up and falling off.
So so that's, if there's other questions you guys have out there, feel free to ask them in the chat. But that kind of takes care of some of the membership kind of concerns and the changes for this year. And I think
it's not that we won't have a membership in the future. We were just like finding our sweet spot for this year and seeing what we can adjust to grow numbers for new anglers and everything else. Not that we don't want anybody back from prior seasons. 100%. They're what made this club what it is now. But by taking away the situation of maybe feeling obligated to be a part of a membership situation, you guys can still, anybody can still buy hats. They can still ask Gaz about shirts, any merchandise we will try and accommodate, because we want to promote our club. the best we can, because it's everybody else that makes this happen. And when they wear a shirt, wear a hat, have decals on the side of their van or decals on the side of their kayak, anything that gets anybody asking questions about us, is just going to get that word of mouth growth.
Mhm. Yep.
It's also one thing I've noticed is like, oh, hey, maybe they don't tournament fish with us, but they're like, oh, I'm on the Facebook page, and they're like, oh, is that Sunflower? I'm on their Facebook page. Oh, you do that, and I've had that happen to me once before. Someone just noticed the sticker, and they didn't do any tournaments with us yet, but they asked me a lot of questions, and they want to do tournaments. So yeah, I try to promote all the local clubs with the stickers. It's always fun. So
and that's one thing that keeps coming up between us when we get together is we want to try to get more people involved. We just feel like that's where our fit is, trying to get new people in, and show them the ropes onto the next level, or just hang out and have fun with us. Just trying to give some other options.
Well, you guys hit it out of the park this year with all the different options that you guys carry. So that's pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed. So
yeah, you're gonna put you might have to just call it Funflower.
yeah, Funflower.
And it's not that we're like I said, we're gonna look at the membership down the road, but by keeping everything fun and simple and just new things and ideas, it's just going to create excitement, and that's what we're looking for mainly. And then that excitement's just going to grow for the future, and then we'll take a little bit of few things from every season and sprinkle them into the next, and see how we can better the fourth season coming up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
I will say, from somebody that started about a year and a half ago as a member, who got drugged to it by his brother Tim.
That was a mistake on that part.
He'll be like, yeah, I told you so. But it's been a lot of fun. Last year was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of new people. I went to a lot of tournaments, met a lot of people. It's just a blast. So if you're still on the fence about doing it, just come out and to do at least one and hang out and learn something new. Maybe you'll meet a new friend and things like that. So yeah. Do you guys have anything else to add? You want to add?
We'll still have our spinners and stuff at the end of the night, and maybe during the week or whatever, just kind of go with the flow kind of deal. If we're in the mood to give some stuff away, we'll just do a spinner. If we get like 10, 15, 20 likes in 2 hours or something, we'll take those likes and add them to the spinner. And then somebody that maybe doesn't fish with us all that often, they may win something, and they can come pick it up at one of the next tournaments.
Yeah.
We're the schedule is on the Facebook site, so have a look there. We've got a lot of different lakes. We used to do a rotation with about 4 or 5 lakes, but we've got a full rotation. We're hitting every lake that we could think of
in Kansas.
In Kansas, yes. Yeah. Every lake that we can think of, the little ones, the big ones, mostly the little ones. But have a look. We're coming to a lake near you.
And that's the other thing, that when we sat down and we really discussed a lot of these lake options, is what would be best for the time of year. So we had Leavenworth as a lake that everybody seemed to really enjoy in the past. And we had it in our rotation for last year. But then it just became overgrown with weeds. So then we threw in a different rotation of replacing that with Clinton and just using a different boat ramp and stuff like that. So this year, we're going to try to avoid all that. And so Leavenworth is mainly towards the front half of the season to avoid all that growth. And that way we can still get it in, we can still fish it. And then towards the end, it's a different lake that doesn't have that type of vegetation growth, so that we can still rotate things in and keep them fun and fresh. and still have everybody enjoy the lakes that we do have on the schedule.
Tony, do you want to ask that question?
Yeah, Derek's got a question. What's the cutoff time to register per tournament? Sometimes I don't know if I can make it till last minute. So since we're going to be doing it through Tourney X, will there be a cutoff for registration?
We didn't really discuss that, and that's something that we may still discuss after this podcast, just as our group. But let's not take it with too much of a solidification as an answer at the moment. But just off the top of my head, if you register ahead of time and you can't make the tournament for whatever reason, we will take that into account. You can either roll that over to the next tournament, or we can try and refund your money. I don't know how many fees or what kind of kickback that PayPal is going to have on trying to return a $20 fee. So if you did want us to roll it over to the next tournament, we just keep it in the kitty and we pay out who actually did show up for that tournament. And then we'll just take into account that you have paid and you're good for the next tournament.
Yeah. It's a good point though, Derek. Other people probably thought about that too. I know I was wondering what that cutoff would be. I would imagine we'd make it as close to the start time as we can, within reason. More to come on that. Let's say that we'll post something out there before, obviously, well before the first tournament. So everybody will know, and we'll think through it and have a process in place.
Yeah, this is new to us as well.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Anybody else have anything going, or any more questions?
Well, I mean, I see all these lovely sponsors that you guys have been accumulating, but where's the big one that's supposed to say Shields on it and have big red letters on there somewhere? What's that about?
We haven't sent the email yet, so just waiting for that one. So
yeah,
okay.
But I'm not in charge of the Shields one, so
yeah.
Okay.
But
come,
if you have some free cards, I'll take some tonight for
Yeah, I'll gladly take a few gift cards.
On the Line needs to be sponsored too by somebody, so
Yeah,
we'll be more than happy.
yeah. For anybody watching tonight,
Yeah.
feel free. I don't know how that would work for a sponsor of but I don't know. Free
We
tackle.
also work for food, so if you have food, we'll work for that as well. So
Tony works for subscribers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how this works? We're supposed to pay to be on the podcast? Like I gotta kick in 5 baits or something?
Yeah. No, but that's a good idea.
I mean, if I gotta come back on, I guess I'll kick something over.
So,
well, thanks everybody for listening and watching and online, and we appreciate it. All the questions.
No, we appreciate being on. I know definitely. There's probably more each one of us has to say. We just don't want to take up too much time. And if you guys would love to have us on in the future, we could definitely get back to some of these questions and stories and just have a good old time again.
Maybe a mid-season.
I think it'd be good. Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
Yeah. Appreciate what you guys are doing too. I mean, this is a great platform, and just contributing to the community. It's great.
Trying.
Yeah,
it fits well.
So, all right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching On the Line. If you have any questions, you can always drop them on the video if you're watching this after the fact. And thanks for watching, Gaz, Shannon, Nikki. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tim, thanks for being our co-host there and host. So joint host, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
comic relief punching bag.
That's
try.
me. That's me. So anyway, all right. Well, thanks everyone, and hope you guys come out and enjoy the next season of Sunflower.
See you on the next one.
Thanks
everybody.
Yep.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Yep.